Out in a vast galaxy, in the Motherworld, 1,000 kings ruled unchallenged in succession. But in the royal bloodlines, lust for power, they consumed everything upon their planet. The realm marched its army into the vastness of space, conquering everything in its path. The glory of the Motherworld seemed without end until the betrayal of an assassin's blade struck down the king and queen, severing the royal bloodline forever. In the chaotic aftermath of the king's death, several conquered planets on the edge of the Motherworld's reach began to whisper of revolution. A senator named Belisarius uses this opportunity to seize power, declaring himself regent. As a show of strength, he sent his most brutal commander to the outer reaches of the Motherworld's dominion to find and crush those who would dare call themselves rebels. In one of the planets, a young woman by the name of Cora is using her horse to farm their land. While she is taking a break, she hears her name being called from behind and turns around to see Gunnar standing there. Jaunting towards her, Gunnar tells her that he thought she had finished and that everyone was gathered at the longhouse. Cleaning her hands on her overalls, she explains that she was doing her last rows and will return as soon as she's done. Once she is done, Cora joins the festivities and indulges in the freshly caught elk meat. Happy with the celebration, the leader of the community, Sindri, gets up to make a toast and urges his people to indulge in the food and each other. After the festivities, Cora goes home after a brief passionate encounter with the best hunter in the village, Dan. Inside, the elderly man who had taken her in after finding her inside a crashed ship is waiting up for her and asks her why she arranged something permanent with the man, telling her that Dan was interested in doing so and that he had asked him personally. Cora explains that she was a child of war and didn't believe she could fall in love before closing the blinds that covered her bed. The following day, Cora is out in the field sowing grain with her friend Sam and the other women when she sees an Imperium's warship hovering in the sky. Frightened due to her violent past with the Imperium, Cora rushes back to the village and sounds the alarm, alerting the people to the impending danger. Concerned with the ship, Sindri calls a community meeting and attempts to find a solution to their problem. Although Gunnar suggests they try to sell the product they grow to the soldiers on the ship, Sindri mentions how he knows that he had sold it to the enemy of the Imperium and tells Gunnar that it might cause some problems. Angry at a comment Gunnar makes about creating an alliance, Cora explains to Sindri and the people that the soldiers on the warship were not there to help them and advises them to simply give them what they want, but to volunteer nothing more, hoping that they live before they find out who they had sold the previous year's grain to. A few moments later, the Imperium's ship landed right outside the village, where the community was watching in fear. From inside, a group of men emerged being led by Admiral Atticus, who cordially introduces himself to Sindri. Inviting him to the longhouse for some drinks, Sindri introduces his humble village, falsely mentioning the hard work it takes to survive there so soldiers don't ask much of them. Atticus explains to Sindri that they wanted to purchase some food as they had finished all their own while chasing a small band of revolutionaries, led by a woman called Devra Bloodaxe and her brother Darian. Although Atticus offers Sindri triple times the market value, Sindri explains that they have nothing to spare and declines the offer. Unable to believe that the lands are barren from what he had seen, Atticus asks to speak to whoever is in charge of the harvest. Raising his hand, Gunnar comes forward and then explains that they have some to spare, telling the frightening admiral that Sindri was only trying to keep the reserves so his people don't starve. Upset at being lied to by the chieftain, Atticus beats Sindri to death and executes his wife as she runs to her husband's side. Threatening Gunnar, he informs him that they will return in 10 weeks to collect their harvest, leaving the community shocked by the death of their leader. Atticus leaves some of his soldiers behind to make sure the villagers cooperate and deliver on their deal. The trigger-happy soldiers force out some of the villagers from their homes and begin setting it up for themselves. After an altercation between one of the privates and an android, one of many who had stopped fighting after the kind was killed, the android goes down to the river to wash off the horse dung he had fallen into and meets Sam. After she kindly gives it a towel to dry its face with, the android mentions his dead king and his daughter Isa, whom it says Sam reminded it of. The android explains that Isa was special and that he and his brothers had pledged to serve her before she was even born. The girl was supposed to usher in a new age of peace and compassion for all. It tells Sam that on the day of her coronation, she and her family were assassinated by those they trusted the most. In the longhouse, the villagers begin to discuss what to do about the impending danger. Having no other choice, they decide to plead with the soldiers by making themselves invaluable by offering them consistent food so they don't massacre them. Seeing their foolish decision, Cora decides to leave, knowing the soldiers would never show them mercy. While she is setting up the horse for her travels, Cora sees the soldiers attempting to rape Sam and decides to help her. Using her unexpected fighting skills, Cora takes out all of the men with the help of Private Eris, who had already been against Sam's rape and the android. The following day, Cora says goodbye to the man who had taken her in and tells him that she is going to go look for Titus, a general who was once considered the hero of the realm. Cora decides to take Gunnar along with her as he has had prior contact with the members of the revolution. Taking the horse-like creatures, Cora and Gunnar start their journey. After traveling all day, the two set up camp to rest for the night. As they settle down around the fire, Gunnar asks Cora about her previous life, and she tells him a story about what happened to her city when she was only a child. She explains that Motherworld's troops were led by a power-hungry general called Belisarius, and that they destroyed everything in their path. Belisarius killed Cora's entire family and took her with him. For 5 years, Cora lived on his ship, learning about the histories of Motherworld and war, seen as the daughter of the general. By the age of 18, Cora was made an officer and given a command, brainwashed into fighting for a king who slaughtered her whole family. The following day, Gunnar and Cora finally arrive at the port city of Providence, where Gunnar's contact was located, and are shocked to see the man taken away by bounty hunters. Going into one of the taverns, the two travelers try to ask around about Titus and learn his location. When they're about to leave, an unexpected altercation arises between Cora and an angry inhuman creature. Although Cora manages to kill the creature's henchman, her life is saved by a criminal called Kai when the creature attempts to shoot her. Kai offers Cora his services, telling her to pay him whatever she can. On his private ship, Kai mentions 2 other swords for hire that Cora could use and takes her to meet them. When they arrive on the planet, Kai introduces them to Tarek, a trained fighter who is working off his debt by serving his master. Tarek's master offers his slave a deal provided that Tarek contained the phoenix he had captured. Using his skills and years of animal taming experience, Tarek accomplishes the task after struggling with the relentless creature for a while and getting it to trust him. Taking their recruit, the group flies to an overpopulated, industrious planet whose air had been badly polluted by factory emissions. There, they find Nemesis, a talented swordswoman and cyborg, battling a spider and human fusion-like creature who was angrily killing children because it is angry that the humans had taken over its world. After coming out victorious, Nemesis decides to join the group of rebels. Back on Kay's ship, Cora and Gunnar are left alone, giving her a chance to continue her story. She tells the man that after achieving so much victory in so many worlds, she was promoted to be the protector of Princess Issa. Cora explains that although many thought it was a myth, she believed that the princess was special as she had seen her perform miracles. When they finally arrive at the planet where they had heard Titus was located, they find the man looking dirty and passed out, slumped over a wall. After forcing a bath upon the dreadful-looking man, she attempts to speak to the general who had given up on his life after all of his men had died. Cora convinces Titus to join them by urging him to get revenge on the people who had wronged him. After the group is complete, Gunnar contacts the rebellion group leaders Devra and Darian, seeking their help to protect their village. Although Darian wants to help the warriors, Devra refuses to do so, telling them that it is too dangerous to attempt to attack that big a ship. Seeing that his sister refuses to help the warriors, Darian takes the soldiers who choose to follow him and heads out with the small group after exchanging a loving farewell with Devra. On the ship, Kai informs Cora that he needs to deliver boxes before joining them on their mission and lands them on a nearby planet. While the group helps unload Kai's crates, Cora notices him speaking to a bounty hunter and suspects foul play. On the ship, Kai informs Cora that he needs to deliver boxes before joining them on their mission and lands them on a nearby planet. While the group helps unload Kai's crates, Cora notices him speaking to a bounty hunter and suspects foul play. Suddenly, the crates transform into robotic capturing machines that restrict all of their movements. After making sure they were unable to fight, Kai hands the group to Atticus. Kai attempts to force Gunnar to deliver the death blow to Cora, but he uses the element of surprise to free her, killing Kai in the process. Using her advanced battle skills, Cora frees her friends from bondage, giving them a fighting chance. The place erupts with gunshots and screams as they all jump into action. Darian is shot to death while taking down the ship and manages to plummet the aircraft into the ground. Motivated by their friend's sacrifice, the warriors opt to fight harder, taking out many of the Imperium soldiers. As the spaceship crashes, it leaves Cora and Atticus separated from the others, resulting in a savage battle between the two. After an exhausting fight and multiple wounds, Cora manages to overpower the general, pushing him to his death. As she watches the body plummet into fiery depths below, she feels a sense of resolve as if her past had also followed Atticus into the grave. The rebels are devastated by the loss of their leader, realizing the heavy price he was willing to pay for their cause. As the group gathers together, Titus makes a speech about their achievements and the blow they had caused to the Motherworld. The group return to the village to find the land was ready for the harvest. As soon as they see the place at a distance, Cora and Gunnar point it out to the newcomers, showing them their new home. Cora looked at the place happily, glad that she too had found a place that she could call home forever. Back on the planet they had left the destroyed spaceship on, a recovery ship arrives to retrieve the body of Admiral Atticus. Although he is heavily wounded, Atticus remains alive and hopes to be saved by the scientists on the ship. After attaching neural links to his brain and the rest of his body, the scientists submerge him in a synthetic substance that can establish a psychic link with Belisarius. During the conversation, he informs Belisarius that he has found Cora and that she is now part of the rebellion. Belisarius finds the news disturbing and orders Atticus to destroy the insurgency, but to bring his daughter to him alive so he can execute her himself. Belisarius threatens to kill Atticus most horrifically if he fails to deliver his daughter to him, sending him back to the ship with the reminder of the threat echoing in his death. As soon as he returns, the scientists emit a full surge of electricity into his body, jump-starting his body and causing him to scream awake, and with that the movie ends.